Hello, welcome, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls. It's time now for more H Cup action here. We're on day 3, the final day of the group stages, as we'll find out which team will advance from each of these 4 groups. It's a big one and probably the most important match of the entire group stage about to go down. CDEC taking on EHOME in Group D, both teams undefeated. Only one of these 2 teams will advance to the playoffs. CDEC, I believe, have one more match after this, so even if they win, maybe not guaranteed to advance. I'm not sure on the tiebreaker rules, but we're going to find out. I'm GoDz from Beyond the Summit. Joining me is Basskip, my fellow Aussie. Basskip, how you doing, buddy? Are you ready to cast some Chinese Dota here?
Yeah, I'm excited. It's just good to see lots of games going on in China at the moment, right? Everyone's been talking about recently that they haven't been looking so great, and the way to get better is just to practice, right? So
there's a ton of games for China lately. H Cup itself has 6 games on at once with all the teams, and you've got Epicenter qualifiers, ESL1 Manila qualifiers. So it really has suddenly become like this. All these teams, not just scrims, they're actually getting official practice matches.
Yeah, and we get to see it, fortunately. So good to see progression, see some drafts, and just see what's going on. So you were talking about, I think it's actually EHOME who have another match later on. So EHOME are currently 3-0 and CDEC are 4-0. Right. So I think if CDEC take this series, then that's
played all
just
their matches,
it.
Yeah. And I think if EHOME win, that means worst case scenario they lose their last match and end up 4-1, but then they win the head-to-head. So
who knows what the tiebreaker
if they win the head-to-head, I assume that means they advance. Typically that's what the rules would be, but yeah, that's not something we have official confirmation on. So we'll see. This is, as far as the groups go, this to me was by far the toughest group. It had EHOME, CDC, Wings, who won the ESL Manila qualifier, although haven't done too well here, and even IG Vitality, who's been pretty scary as well. So this was the group to look out for, and I guess it's only fitting that we're here on the final day with a deciding match.
Yeah, and pretty cool that this match happened to make it all the way until the very end of the group as well. So, because often the problem with these big group stages is that you end up with a whole bunch of the final matches just not really mattering at all, but kind of avoid that a little bit here.
All right, well, draft underway. EHOME had first pick, take the Chen. Invoker, Winter Wyvern picked out for CDEC, OD for EHOME. I actually have not. I've seen, I think, one series the new EHOME's played. I didn't see them play Chen. I guess this is now like an Ice hero with the new transition to a support role. I don't think Fenrir is the Chen player, or at least he wasn't with Vici Gaming.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Again, this is like we're seeing the new rosters somewhat for the first time.
Yeah.
As far as the new rosters go, are there any that kind of have stood out to you since they've been playing new matches, or that you just think look like they're going to have a really high skill ceiling?
I think it's really difficult to say. I feel like I have a lot of my views on Chinese players and players in the Chinese scene seems to be based on maybe it's an old view of it, and I'm still sort of waiting to see how things pan out. I think the new CDEC looks reasonably strong. I've always been kind of looking out for Rabbit. I feel like it wasn't too long ago that he was the big up-and-comer and everyone was talking about him, and it seemed like he was going to just be ridiculous. And then it didn't quite seem to pan out, though he's been in some weird roles and things like that over the course of his career.
It almost felt like the biggest problem for his career was that 2014 at TI4 with LGD, he was almost the player of the year. As far as non-winning teams, he was one of the MVPs of that tournament, and then he joins the team that won TI, and suddenly there's this newbie became, there was this obviously slightly running joke that they were the unmotivated team who's just playing RPG games all the time, and he went from being on he went to this team environment where people weren't as motivated, and then suddenly his skill and play just disappeared.
Yeah, I really like the new newbie on paper, but I feel like we've been talking about newbie on paper for a while.
I feel the same way, but I also know I'm biased because of KP's playing on the team. So.
Yeah, obviously I'm super biased.
That was my first thought when you said that. I was like, yeah.
Well, that's the reason that I'm bringing it up, of course.
Yeah, it's funny because I had a few, Ryan also on Twitter. I saw him reply to someone saying the same thing, oh, I really like the new newbie. I'm like, he's also got that KP bias going.
Yeah, he's also just glad to see KP on
Yeah.
on an actual team. Oh well, so hopefully all the best for him. But man, maybe we shouldn't talk about it too much.
They beat
So what do you make
CDEC
of
the
this?
other day, but anyways, yeah.
What do you make of this draft so far? The early Winter Wyvern seems a little bit out of place to me.
I've been seeing a decent amount of Winter Wyvern though. It was picked up after the Chen, so there's obviously some D-push aspect there. There's no like counter to the physical damage with Cold Embrace. If anything, EHOME's going to not pick in that direction. OD can just start right-clicking away on anyone that does get Cold Embrace. So I'm skeptical about the Winter Wyvern pick. I think the new ultimate is just one of the most situational things imaginable. Like, being able to use Winter's Curse effectively is something I've not seen any Winter Wyvern player do consistently.
Yeah, it's really tough. I think the one thing that CDEC have done well here is drafted themselves some easy combo heroes to go with the Winter's Curse. So even if they only catch 2, just being able to drop a call down, the timing is really easy, or drop some Invoker spells after the Winter's Curse ends. I think they've set themselves up nicely from that perspective, and I think maybe the Winter Wyvern makes a little bit more sense with that kind of view in mind, but yeah, I feel like I feel the same as you about the hero in general.
Yeah. Especially as a first 2 pick, in that, I guess in the support, like if you have a preferred, like generally your first 2 pick is normally a support plus core, and if there's no must pick OP supports these days. Like there's some teams who prefer getting Alliance, some teams who'll go for the Venge, especially when they're on the dire side, but it's not like picking Wyvern over Venge is like a travesty, like, oh man, Venge is so good, why didn't they pick Venge? It's
true.
It's kind of, you often want to go towards your preferences.
Yeah, I think some teams would have picked like a Witch Doctor in there as well, potentially also quite good against the Chen. But yeah, but as you were saying, there's no, I would say maybe aside from Lion, it seems like there's no support that's really standing head and shoulders above everybody else at the moment, and Lion is more a popularity thing than necessarily a hero strength thing, in my opinion.
I think one thing we've, at least from the games of CDC I've seen, they've been picking Rabbit very strong fighting carries that don't need like a strong lane presence. Like you don't need the strong zoning of a Witch Doctor Disruptor, because he's been playing a lot of Gyrocopter. I've seen him on a bit of Slack. Slack probably needs a bit more help than a Gyro, but Juggernaut's been another hero I've seen him on. So he's never really playing these safe lane farmers that like need babysitting per se.
Yeah, and even Slark just needs a little bit of help at the start, and once he's ahead of the offlaner by like a level or 2 or an item, then you can bully just fine. So I think that makes sense. For EHOME, so they've got a little bit of push from the Chen, and Doom is a decent aura carrier, but not too crazy at pushing towers.
The fact they went to Doom OD suggests they're not. Like they'll take the tier 1 towers, get map control if they can, but this is not like some, hey, we hit our timing and we break your base. Unless they could go into like a lone druid or something here, so that could quickly change, but as it stands, it doesn't look that way.
Yeah, there'll probably just be a decent amount of fighting, if I had to guess. I mean, we've got the Gyrocopter and the Evoker on the one side with Tusk moving around, and I'd say kind of Lion, OD, and Chen sort of in that vein as well. CDEC's teamfight is pretty scary already. We'll see if they augment that anymore with this final, I guess, offlane pick.
Yeah, I mean, Yao was phenomenal on Tusk when he was playing at TI, but realistically, Tusk is almost entirely played as a support these days. And with the nerfs, I don't think you can really play him in the offlane role. So
yeah, it's definitely much more difficult. And they also changed the like the creep storing thing.
Yeah,
right.
I haven't seen anyone do the ancient pulls anymore.
Oh right, yeah, the ancient pulls. I was just talking about the one where you people used to do it with cogs, and people can
when
also
you pull
do
it into the side
trees.
trees.
Yeah, you just put creeps in the trees.
Gotcha. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. All right, so get a Bat Rider in here as well. So gives them some pretty decent pickoff potential. Can be a little bit difficult sometimes against the Chen. Once you get to the mid to late game, the send back is a really good answer to somebody getting lassoed, but the Chen does really have to be on his toes.
Yeah, and you have to be on your toes, and if you burst him down fast enough, it may not be a problem. So you have last pick Weaver. I've not seen too much of this hero as a carry. The hero, I mean, you go once you've got the Lincoln Sphere, you're not worried about that Bat Rider Blink lasso. It's pretty hard to get the lasso on a Weaver because you can Shikuchi incredibly quickly, and even if you have a 4-staff to break it, then you don't have the 4-staff to kind of use to pull Weaver into your team. So doesn't necessarily that to me doesn't just that's not why they're picking it though. It's not like, oh, we can get a hero that builds Lincolns against Batrider, let's pick Weaver. They're picking Weaver because they feel like it fits their draft.
Yeah, I think it was in the same vein as we saw. I think CDEC last banned Ember, and I think they were just thinking, oh, we don't have the lockdown that we want to be able to deal with someone with an instant escape or a particularly slippery hero like the Ember Spirit, and I think the Weaver kind of fits into that same mold a little bit. They do have some control, like a punch and whatnot, but it could still be a little bit tough.
EHOME's overall team fight, though, it's very much like the OD Ultimate, though. Like, looking with the Weaver pickup, they don't actually have that much. Like, they haven't got any of those big AoE team fight spells outside of the Sanity's Eclipse. So, does perhaps, I mean, for CDEC, I feel like they can actually look to group up, take those fights if they find themselves in the position to do so.
Yeah, I do definitely think they'll probably be the opportunity. And so, thinking about the lanes, I guess there might be some Chen shenanigans happening on mid lane, so that might influence things a little bit. I've only just gotten back into the game. I crashed at the end of the draft, and then my cursor disappeared. So
CDC, just classic level 1 5-man smoke when you have Tusk. Tusk is a pretty cool hero just because, like, it's one of the unique things about him. Like, you often, like, Liquid were the team who first really kind of pioneered this with Jerix when he used to play Tusk every game. They just smoke up. As soon as they get vision, they just 5-man snowball, and they, like, 80% of their games with Tusk, I feel like they get first blood until teams, like, finally figured out what was going on. But they're not going to find anyone immediately, at least.
Yeah, there's so many more level 1 shenanigans these days than there used to be. Some of the ones that we've lost are like, it used to be before the bounty runes that, sometimes two supports would go and hide in the trees
on by the
their off lane. Yeah, by the side shop, right? And then they would, as the safe lane went on the off lane, the two supports would pop out and kill the carry. I think that was
Fluff and stuff, right? Who was like one of the players who used to do that all the time. I remember in the NA scene.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But now we've got level 1 TPs because TPs are cheaper and more level 1 smokes.
And because of the bounty runes, you can't really send your two supports to the off lane. Like, you need your supports at the rune, unless you feel so confident you can get a rune without your supports there, because maybe you have a level 1 fight, so you know your opponents won't contest a rune. But yeah, I agree. Bounty runes make things like they kind of encourage fighting, but they've also taken away some of the possibilities, like you mentioned.
Yeah, and it's less important to be good at creep blocking because mid heroes don't actually block creeps anymore. It's kind of your support maybe gives you half a block if you're lucky.
Poor Daryl's got some issue. Something's bugged out. Who knows? Spring cleaning. Let's just blame it on that. So we'll see. Ice is playing the Chen. So this is a player, obviously, no issues when it comes to micro. Known for his StarCraft 2 background, even for a while. Well, Dota 1 background first and foremost. But he's played StarCraft 2. He's played like every esports game imaginable at various times. So we'll see him blocking the mid lane for his mid player, and then he'll head his way into the jungle. Doesn't look like there's going to be any pressure on his jungle from CDEC. They're just going with a standard safe lane support Wyvern. They've got Garda on Tusk, who can kind of be their active roaming hero this game.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how ISIS does on this Chen, because I feel like less than the micro, it's also a lot about the decision making. I think that's what we see a player like Puppy being complimented on a lot for his Chen, is that he's just always in the right place at the right time. Any moves that he makes pretty much always succeeds, and if he doesn't feel like there's anything that he can actually successfully do on the map with the gank or anything like that, then he's just farming away. So I really want to keep an eye on the Chen this game and see what he does. He does have a Lion on his team. They've already got a smoke picked up as well, so I think there's definitely lots of really good gank opportunities, especially since Invoker's quite vulnerable, especially with a QE build.
This is CDC. They're actually off to a pretty good start here. I didn't notice it at the time, but they got both bounty runes with because EHOME were trying to go for top, but CDC rotated up there, so Bat got the bottom bounty rune, managed to pull a wave to his tower, so he's already level 2 in a bit. So that's like getting level 2 as a Bat is the big thing. Now top lane, they're going to get aggressive here. It looks like Old 11 could be in some trouble. Rabbit just a little bit too far for the Rocket Barrage. Well, that would have been a first blood. The Boots first Doom able to keep away, but some good pressure onto the Doom, although not the first blood they were hoping for.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to be able to get this lane back under control as well. You know, often that's the thing when you go for that attempt on the offlaner's life, that you kind of lose control of the creep equilibrium a little bit, but they've gotten back to a single range creep, and it's actually pushing towards the dire direction right now, so unfortunately for Old 11, he's not going to get a big wave, it looks like.
He'll always have like the jungle camp to some extent, but he actually used the Devour on the Wild Wing and didn't clear out the little creeps. So obviously you don't really want to spend that time right-clicking them down, but it means he's now going to try and enter the dire jungle if he wants to get another big creep, or he's going to go back and finish off that camp. So it does make his life a little more difficult.
Chen...
We've thought about the crew.
He's going... Body blocked himself.
He's got haste.
Yeah, he blocked himself with the skeleton.
He's going for it. He's committed. Daryl. He got vision for it, but it looks like First Blood is going to go the way of Invoker here. Yep, the tower hits enough. He almost made his way to the camp there. Super getting First Blood for a courier. Even-ish trade, I suppose.
Yeah, not amazing. Interestingly, so Old Chicken doesn't have a point in Astral just yet. I feel like when you've got a Chen and a Lion on your team, it's a pretty straightforward way to set up for ganks, but Nice is just running in there.
Raiding Courier goes down?
Oh,
what the
God.
hell? Okay. This is a Courier massacre. It just died in the mid lane to some Invoker right clicks, and Old Chicken has his bottle at least, so he didn't lose that, but what's going on? These players need to work on their Courier respect. Yao's going to start farming his. Yao's actually had an amazing time in this offlane. Like, I'm looking at this bat and thinking we're probably in for like a 10-11 minute blink dagger at this rate if he wants to just spend a bit more time in the jungle.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be pretty scary. Just getting the banter and pulling that first wave really set him up.
Yeah. It's amazing, like the difference between getting like a 10-minute and a 15-60 minute blink dagger is sometimes just getting whether you get your level 2 from that first creep wave. And like, if you get level 2 in the first minute, you're fine. If you get level 2 at like 3 or 4 minutes, your blink dagger timing gets delayed immensely.
Yeah, that little bit of acceleration definitely means a lot. I think we may even see the Winter Wyvern probably stack up the big camp here as well.
He's going for the
he's going to go for both.
Should be. Oh, well, I guess the other one's already double stacked. Might be a little tricky. Yeah, he didn't get vision, so. Oh well, not the end of the world. Mud Golems, though, a bit sad for the Barrow. Meanwhile, top lane. Oh, nice ice shards are blocking Old 11. With a Rocket Barrage, this is going to be close. They snowball on in, and yeah, Old 11. Second kill going the way of CDEC. The Tusk, still a thing. I've seen some incredible Tusk play this qualifiers. Like, the ice shard blocks is still something that is always impressive when you see it. So.
Yeah, his numbers got nerfed a little bit, wasn't it? But
yeah, like all the spells do a little less damage here and there. I think even like the cooldown on the ice shards got changed a little bit. But still a hero.
Alright, so Fenrir and Ice finally teamed up now. They got 2 creeps. I think they don't have a smoke.
This is an interesting rotation. They come in to try and scout out if there's a stack there and obviously keep the Bat Rider away from that camp, but most likely result is they're going to just find themselves getting a tier 1 tower here.
Yeah, it's a little bit suspicious for Yao if he's paying attention to the Weaver as well, since the Weaver turned his Bastion and started pushing the lane, so there's a bit of a reason for him there to think that something weird's about to happen.
He's scouted out Fenrir in the trees here, which could actually lead to a kill. If they TP in enough here, Fenrir's just going to straight up be caught out, and it looks like that's going to be the problem here. Gyrocopter Rabbit TP's in free level 6, but even so, he can offer a lot of support here, and yep, gets the deny. Gyro gets the kill in the end. That was just a flat hit, so does free up top lane a little bit for the Doom to not worry about dying, but as far as CDC are concerned, they're still getting the experience as well as some of the farm here with Garda left up top, and they weren't complete. Like, Old 11 was already getting a decent amount of XP out of this lane.
Yeah, I think that was a pretty decent rotation for CDEC. Just to remove that little bit of extra tower gold.
Yeah, I'm going to get solo killed bottom here. The Swarm, Old 11, okay. Oh, sorry, Old Land. I see the old at the side, I'm just assuming it's like Old 11, and I'm like, oh wait, Old Land. It's going to confuse the hell out of me.
Okay. Old Chicken sees them coming in, he's like, nope, I'm just not going to go for this rune.
Oh, with a cooldown, this is actually potentially problematic, but backs off a little bit. Doom at top is going to instead be the... on the receiving end of this one, the Lion's drawing line. He's coming top. Watch out for this Invis Gyrocopter coming your way. Tusk nearby as well, but it seems Doom unafraid with the magic stick. 900 HP, he's fairly durable, and they're not going to go for a dive. Weaver does have a TP ready to rotate should any kind of tower dive happen.
Yeah. What kind of build are you hoping to see from the Doom this game? You're a Doom player,
Drums,
right?
yeah, he's going drums.
Yeah.
Yeah, Doom's a hero. I think he's one of those heroes that's just not in the meta yet, but oh, well, he kind of is. Like during before pre-Shanghai, I was like, man, people need to pick Doom, Infernal Blade, the China pubs. Like everyone knows, you just get this Infernal Blade spell and start right-clicking people. But drums, shivers. I think the build is similar to what it's always been. Sometimes you need a Blink Dagger, or like you go Shadow Blade for your initiation. Some games you need a BKB, but the early game build is pretty standard. Unfortunately for Old 11, he didn't find a Satyr this game. Like the dream. Nice Ice Shard's cooldown on top lane. Could be in some trouble. Both cooldown hits have found him, and the slows will be more than enough. No? Needs another. He has another Rocket Barrage. And Old 11? Oh wow, he missed the follow-up Rocket Barrage for the most part.
Yeah, the pathing kind of screwed him because he was standing right in the block. He was clicking further in to the trees and just tried to path him around the Doom as soon as he saw it, so he just ran away. That was a mess.
Should have been a kill, but no worries still for CDEC. They're still getting farm across all three of their core heroes. On the Radiant side, Doom not getting great farm. Chen has been jungling though, so we've already got Arcane Boots up, level 5 on Chen. As far as the early game goes, I mean, yeah, we're neck and neck on gold, experience pretty much even too, so even though you look at the kills, it's CDEC favored. EHOME got a tier 1 tower. It doesn't really feel like either team has taken any kind of an edge yet. They're both kind of waiting their timings. For CDEC, Batrider's Blink Dagger. For EHOME, it's probably more like around maybe like the level 6 on Chen Lion, then they can find pickoffs and take more towers.
Yeah, I'm still somewhat surprised that they haven't managed to find anything on Super's Invoker just yet. Another gyrocopter rotation.
Yep. As far as, you mean EHOME haven't been able to kill him, you mean?
Yeah, I mean there are wards around mid, but I feel like just, you know, whenever this Astral happens, you could have Lion or Chen running in.
Might go down here. Sandy's Eclipse. Oh wow, he let him right click him again. I can't believe he turned there on the Invoker. I guess he just thought he was dead. Elsewhere, the Chen comes rotating in towards the bottom room. That's a Winter Wyvern kill. Tusk died up top. I don't know how really either of those happened, but looked like the Chen just found the Winter Wyvern in the river. And then Tusk at top getting died by the Weaver. So a couple towers. Suddenly EHOME have found their stride and using the Chen managed to take a couple objectives here.
Yeah, I mean EHOME went from 0 towers and 0 kills to like 2 towers and 3 kills.
Oh, Yao just blinked in without mana for a lasso. Bit of a miscalculation there coming out from the Batrider. Did have 2 magic stick charges. Not sure if he could have popped those to get the lasso off, but now the Blink Dagger known by EHOME.
Yeah, he got one of them off getting astraled, so may have only had the one.
Yeah,
when he jumped in or something like that.
That's what I wasn't quite sure about as well. So we'll reserve judgment there as far as whether or not he could have popped them. But drums online, like this is the timing. You've got level 6 on both your supports. Weaver's got enough levels that he can actually be involved in fights and be pretty effective here. He's not easily bursted down or controlled. Like it's very hard to prevent him getting off a time lapse unless you burst him down during the lasso. So, and even then, you've got the Astral Imprisonment to try and counterplay it. So I imagine EHOME may actually start pulling ahead. I mean, they just did start pulling ahead after that recent occurrence, but they may continue to do so.
Yeah, I definitely think they've got some snowball potential here. Yao, not the best timing there, looking for Lamb, unfortunately.
Bottom lane though, the smoke is going to find Q. Gets hit by the boulder from the Mud Golem, and he goes south. They kind of ping out. Initially, they think he goes north, but he goes down Q. Ooh, not going to TP himself out. Instead, they're going to find Yao, which is actually a bigger kill. Yao just walked into them. Whoopsie daisy. And Q comes out. What are you doing, Q? He's buying time for the rotation, I guess, but that's a freebie. That was some uncharacteristic play coming out from those two. Just gifting EHOME a couple of kills, and EHOME in position to press on forward here.
I mean, they both just walked in and died. Yeah, there's wards in the area, but that was just...
I thought Wyvern was walking in for an ultimate. I'm like, I don't think he's level 6, but I guess if he's walking in, he might have an ultimate ready. And I was like, nope, he's still level 4.
Gifted the OD a bunch of int.
Yep. So this push may continue, and as much as we haven't seen pressure on the Super, like as far as like the Exo Invoker is quite vulnerable to the games, we also haven't seen Super offer much to CDEC yet. They haven't been able to find anything with the Sunstrikes around the map, so CDC's early game has been pretty lackluster, and the Yao Blink Dagger, this was the one big timing that they were kind of waiting for. So far, we've just seen consecutive kind of failed initiations from him. Like, there was 2 attempted blinks mid, and well, one of them he blinked in, didn't lasso. The next one, he didn't get a chance to get vision of the Weaver, so pretty lackluster couple of minutes for CDC.
Yeah, I think they're just a little bit shocked at probably about losing the top tier 1 as well. They kind of lost that in the midst of all of those pickoffs that happened all across the map. And if they had a little bit more map control, I think these bat smoke ganks probably go a little bit better. But it's just it's a little bit more obvious when you're kind of pushed back onto your side of the map. Nobody's farming top or anything like that.
We'll find a nice pickoff here on Old Chicken. Yeah, they'll use the lasso. I don't think they needed to commit that, but they wanted to be sure after everything that's gone on recently. That's almost one of those like tilt type plays where finger bottom, they'll get a second return kill onto the Winter Wyvern. But it almost feels like one of those plays where they're just going to throw everything to make sure they get the OD there because of how badly things have been going. Next in line could be the Doom as Old 11 gets found out by a Rocket Barrage. Rabbit will have another in a couple of seconds, and little Doomlings will pop out, and will be... It feels like this team has been entirely reliant on Rabbit to be everywhere and do everything. The reason that CDC had an okay start was because of Rabbit's rotations bottom. When Rabbit's not getting involved, like, things are not going well for CDC.
Yeah, and he has gone a little bit, I wouldn't say greedy necessarily, but he has gone for the HUTD here, and is going to be looking to stack things up. But, I mean, EHOME have to be suspecting that this is going to happen and just looking to shut it down through a combination of pressuring the map and probably warding the camp as best they can.
Chen sees it with some skeletons, so they know there is the HOTD there to stack those Ancients, but... kind of depend if they get map control and take like this last tier 1 tower mid and just start gaining a big advantage. I don't really see a way for CDC to easily use that Ancient stack. On the EHOME side, you've got an okay lineup for taking it with the Weaver Swarm, the Chen creeps. So very much CDC need to keep this tier 1 mid tower alive. They need to actually protect their towers as much as possible at this stage of the game.
Yeah, just gotta. And hopefully just find a few more Batrider pickups. I mean, we're talking about it as if they're very far behind, and I feel like that isn't necessarily the case, but EHOME do also have a pretty strong opportunity to potentially snowball. And we were talking about them as the lineup with the weaker team fight overall as well, just being carried by the Sanity's Eclipse against a call down and all of Invoker's nonsense, but...
I think that probably kicks in more later. Right now, like having Mech plus Hand of God is actually going to give them a teamfight edge. They'll catch out Super in the mid lane. The Purge from the Doom. I mean, Super has no real way to be kept alive here. The chase goes on. The Snowball from the Tusk just trying to delay the inevitable. As Garda throw a punch here. They're going to pull in Old Chicken here. Gyrocopter wants to fight this one. Rabbit is in a great position to do a lot of damage, but there's the Mech, the Hand of God. And that's where EHOME perhaps at the edge as far as teamfights go. Old Chicken on the front line is just going to orb away. He's stolen 35 intelligence so far. Not a single kill going the way of CDC. Yao could be the final casualty. He's got no blink. The Tornado cancelled his blink. What a tornado from Ice Ice Ice. I'm like looking at him like he's actually going to get his blink. It's up in a second and then somehow like it got cancelled and it was the tornado damage. Team wipe. Well then, that was entirely having like the Chen heals. That wins them the teamfight there.
I mean, you look at how much HP everybody is on. Chen's at 200. Old Chicken's kind of around half.
The Old 11 was on 200, yeah.
Yeah, so you take away the... If you somehow manage to kill the Chen before that fight starts, then obviously things are looking great.
And the OD even got quite low. He kind of bottled up as well as got the Chen heals in the front line, so... Like, if Chen doesn't get off Mech or Hand of God there, like EHOME lose 3 or 4 heroes easily at the start of the fight. Like, CDC just straight up win that fight.
Yeah, it was also a really terrible way to start the fight as well, with Super just getting walked up to and doomed and then purged with no way to escape. I think maybe even if the Doom doesn't have the purge creep there, then the Tusk can probably keep him alive a little bit longer. Can pull him into the snowball for a little bit. I don't know if he gets any spells off necessarily, but at least it gives more time for the Gyrocopter and the Batrider to turn up, which is what they really needed. It
forces EHOME to chase deeper and potentially even throw more spells onto the Invoker to kill him, so it does definitely change the entire dynamic of that fight if the Purge creep isn't there. But Blade Mail now up for the Doom.
Blade Mail.
Oh, this is the true China Doom. This is what all the pub games they do. Great item against... I mean, this was like one of the items that, like, when Clockwork was a thing, like, it was like the Blade Mail versus Gyrocopter. You can't prevent your Rocket Barrage / cooldown damage, typically. So, the Blade Mail, very good against Gyrocopter.
Yeah, he can just run in now. 4 points in Scorched Earth. He's got the Infernal Blade ready. Pretty tanky.
Yep.
So this is... They are really hoping that someone's going to show up mid to try and do something to super.
Look at what EHOME's doing to defend this. They're very wary of what's going on. They're sending tornadoes, but no heroes to defend.
You look at Old Chicken, he is all the way underneath his tier 1 tower. He knew that something was happening, he just didn't know which lane.
Everyone is just backed right off. They see no one at top lane farming. It's like, okay, they're 4 or 5 men here. They respect the fact that this they have no real good counter to the bat, right? You mentioned the Chen send back, but I mean, Chen needs... You have to be in such good position for that. I guess Bat doesn't have 4 stuff, so there is an okay chance you're fine. But now with the Weaver with Lincolns, Weaver can actually frontline because they don't have... Well, they don't really have an easy way to break this. As far as like when you... If Bat Rider is always going to be the one in the front. He's going to be the one kind of rolling on in to start the fight, to blink on in to start the fight. There's no one... Like Winter Wyvern can't run up for a Splinter Blast before the Bat goes in. So I think Weaver in the front lines is a pretty safe kind of way for EHOME to try and position things.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough to coordinate. Oh yeah, needs to be careful. That Purge.
Blade Mail. He's not getting out of. Oh, he's not getting his blink off, and there's the Purge. I'll bring him down. This game is just completely slipped away for CDC. I don't feel like they're getting much value out of the Winter Wyvern pick in general, and I don't feel like at any stages they're going to begin to as well. That's probably the big problem. I guess you kind of something you went back to is that it is a good setup for a lot of the Invoker as well as Gyrocopter spells if you can get the Winter's Curse on a couple of heroes.
Yeah, they have to hope that they can somehow get the Winter's Curse with the Winter Wyvern coming over the top of some trees or over a cliff or something like that. Because Winter Wyvern's never going to have an item in this game that's going to help with positioning. Maybe you can get to a Glimmer Cape or something, but that'd probably be about the extent of it.
Man, on the front lines, it's going to be tower after tower, and you take a few towers, you now have control over these Dire Ancients, which I kind of mentioned, you can look to farm if you want to. The Swarm actually goes towards mid lane, so it doesn't look like that was going to be the immediate plan, but yeah, Lannan pulls it back, so I think we may even see EHOME take this Ancient stack. They can take Roche fairly soon as well. The T2 towers, at this point, CDC, they have got the team fight to try and defend and take a fight, but it's got to be like the perfect initiation. So many things have to go right for them.
Yeah, and the other big question is just who do they catch at the moment? I think potentially OD is the best target. Doom's really tanky.
Chen's
so
pretty good if you can take his, because you take the heals out of the fight.
Yeah, that's true. They can manage to find him, but there's almost no reason for Ice to be close to the front lines at all. I mean, you look at him right now; he's just all the way back in these trees.
Yeah, I don't think Chen's really
2K range away.
Easy pick off. It's cool seeing Ice is bringing something new to the Chen. Like I feel like we don't see many Chen players use the tornadoes. We're seeing him use them here, like defending the mid tier 1, now using them to aggressively push by just positioning them in a kind of obscure position and throwing those tornadoes in. Just small things. Like I feel like he's going to bring some new ideas to the support role. He's one of those players who's going to do things by his own rules. Like he's not going to just follow the metagame and do what's like considered the cookie cutter way to play heroes.
Yeah, he always does something a little bit interesting. I think the big thing that he's thinking about here with keeping the Wild Wings as well is just kind of zoning out the bat and making his life as hellish as possible, because it's the only way that CDEC start a fight. I mean, we even had the OD hanging back on that mid push, and he's got a Blink Dagger. So if he sees the bat blink in and lasso somebody, which will be either the Doom or the Weaver, both of which are pretty useless lassos, he can also still just blink in and Astral anyway.
Yao's just so desperate for kills. He's just hiding, camping at this top lane, waiting to set up a kill for the Invoker. But again, it's just the Chen creeps defending, and I think the really big tell here that this game has gone terribly wrong is that Yao, he had like an 11-minute Blink Dagger, and he still doesn't have 4 staff, which is a pretty big deal for a Bat Rider. Not having a 4 staff at this stage of the game makes like even just defending your high ground or contesting a Roche that much more difficult, because you just lack that pull into your team aspect that you really need to have after your first lasso gank or 2. It's fine just having a blink for the first couple of kills, but now that items are up on EHOME, the Blink Dagger alone doesn't cut it.
Yeah, and EHOME have been playing around him so well. I feel like they're kind of anticipating what he's hoping to do, making sure that they never expose anyone valuable. I mean, the only gank that he's really got successfully was the one where they randomly ran into Old Chicken in the Radiant jungle.
Yep.
And that's been about it.
And that was like, he thought he's safe because Chen creeps were protecting his river, they were smoked up, and it was...
Yeah.
It was a pretty... It doesn't even lead to a tower. Like, CDC didn't actually transition or gain much out of it to follow, so... Weaver's going to have a Desolator soon, and then we're actually looking at EHOME in a position where taking objectives like Roshan and then leading into a high ground push becomes a very viable option for them.
Yeah, and they're still continuing to maintain such good control over their side of the map right now. Both tier 1 towers kind of above half HP or around half HP at the moment.
Yeah. We're seeing some farm, but it's like the top lane where it's wherever EHOME think the Batrider is, they won't try and contest the hero farming, which was like Invoker farming top, now Rabbit's farming top, but realistically the amount of farm CDC is getting is just incomparable to EHOME.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Rabbit right now, and he's like, somebody has to come and farm top, right? There's 2 waves, this is a ton of gold, and instead they're just running at mid right
I don't think he's looking for a kill, though, at the same time, because I think he wants to farm it and split push, but he's waiting for EHOME to show on the map. And EHOME will now. They find a kill on Yao at mid. Then Rabbit pops out. His idea being up here is much more to like keep EHOME from just going high ground mid, because EHOME could theoretically really threaten the base. So Rabbit's like, okay, I'm in position to split push.
Alright, so Bat's dead. They've got the Weaver Deso. Weaver is still ridiculously difficult to deal with at the moment. So
it's just the Chen... I think EHOME just... They realize this top lane's a trap. It's just the Chen creeps now. Rabbit will go on them, though. He's actually going to bring down the entire army. That's actually probably well worth it. Chen now has to completely rebuild. This is as EHOME are taking Roche.
Sigil's going to scout things out a little bit, but...
Even though they know there's no Chen army, it's not easy to try and contest this one. And Yao goes in, gets a lasso into 11. Roche does get claimed as Weaver picks it up. The blink to the north. OD did not manage to... Okay, he did manage to get the banner shot. Hold 11. Can he get a Doom here? Doesn't look like it. The turn rate. There we go. He gets stopped just in time before he goes down. Invoker. The one getting caught by that, he does go on full retreat. OD will finish off Q inside the cold embrace. Rabbit's not even TP'd in for this one. He's decided that he's best off just split pushing the top lane. He's going to look to claim this tier 2 tower. Fall down, takes up the creep wave, and unless EHOME TP back, he may actually get this tier 2. And there we go, TP from Lion. Interesting little fight there. OD did give the Aegis to the Weaver, so Weaver going to be the one. He's your high ground pusher, so it does make more sense for him to have it at this stage.
Yeah, it was a weird go from CDEC there. I mean, the gyrocopter was so far away. Like you were talking about, Rabbit had just decided, like, there's no way for me to get to this fight.
Yeah, I wonder if there were... Oh, okay. Gets caught out. And there's the blink chase and brings him down. So I wonder if there was some incentive for Yao to try and even go for an Aegis still there, or if they were actually looking to take a team fight with the lasso start. I feel like with Gyro not TPing in, there was either some miscommunication, or he was just going for an Aegis steal, quickly realized he didn't have it and just pulled the Doom and was like, okay, we're not stealing Aegis, but maybe we kill a Doom.
Yeah, I think he was anticipating that maybe there was going to be a little bit of Invoker damage to back him up, because I feel like the Doom survived for a decent amount of time. Maybe I didn't see the Sunstrike or something, but they pulled him out. He was already at like a 3rd HP when he got lassoed. Tusk snowballed him, and it just felt like they couldn't quite finish him. But if Invoker had been standing there, I think...
Yeah, the blink banish was there to keep him alive. It didn't come immediately. I don't know if Old Chicken had taken damage and was prevented from blinking perhaps right away, but we'll see. Old 11 getting chased down again. Yao unable to get close enough though, and EHOME are pinging this out. They know they had a ward in the enemy jungle pretty deep here. Radiant Vision is alright right now. They actually been de-warded around the Roshan pit. They don't really see much around there, but hey, needless to say, they took the Aegis. They don't really care anymore. They're ready to go once more, it looks like, as they group up at this top lane. Lanham not with them, but he can quickly move through this mid lane and join up with his team up there. Super. May have to actually, yeah, Ghost walk out of this one. Runs into Lanham. He's going to probably just Shikuchi on towards the north. They do dust him up here, but I think he's just going to keep on running. Has Aegis. Lincoln's gets popped, but You're committing. You'd have to commit a lot just to kill him once, and then he respawns, and you're probably just getting team wiped.
Yeah, the one good thing for CDEC is they have managed to quietly build up some farm on the Invoker and the Gyrocopter here. So Gyro's got his BKB, Invoker's got his Ag Scepter, and a decent number of levels. His Midas has been going to work. So
we're looking at Chen Ancient creeps coming into play though now.
Yeah.
He's waiting for hopefully a Granite Golem here, I believe. No, he's not going to stack it.
Remember to stack it, Ice. No.
I think he was AFKing there to stack it, and I think he just got like distracted, and because he didn't want to grab this Ancient Thunderhide. He was just sitting next to it like, oh, this isn't any good. And meanwhile, his team scattered the other Ancients, and it was also a Thunderhide, so it looks like he just lost concentration for a second. Maybe microing his neutrals.
Yeah, he had the Troll all the way over here, and the Centaur over over this way. Yeah. So
something he like, even going back to when he played offlane on heroes like Nature's Prophet, he would split up his treants and just micro everything individually a lot more than most players would.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like on Chen there isn't that much of an advantage to doing that. I mean, it's good for scouting, but the creeps individually are very weak. So it's only kind of when they're together that they can actually threaten lanes. Two things our rabbit.
BKB TP. Doom is there though.
BKB charge.
Oh, they lost vision. Okay, they got it back. That was a long TP. But they do manage to find him. Old Fenrir getting a bit low there, but survives through it all. Could have maybe seen the Sunstrike, but he's going to heal himself back up. Has the Ring of Health. Aether Lens coming online, but for now he's going to pick up a gem for the team and look to maintain some element of map control. So next Ancient, here we go. He's got the Granite Golem. Nice. It's going to be a happy camper now. I think with this, you're actually looking at a high ground siege. What's Weaver picked up? Weaver picks up BKB, so this is really the timing. You've got two Ancient creeps, BKB, Lincoln's Deso, Weaver. Unfortunately, the age is about to expire, so perhaps it's not quite the perfect timing, but it's pretty close.
And I mean, even when the Gyrocopter respawns, he's still going to have his BKB on cooldown for another 10 seconds. So they're going to have to stall this as best they can. And I'm not even sure if the Thunderhide is all that bad. The castable Frenzy, putting that on the Weaver or the OD is pretty scary if Ice is on point with his micro.
No, absolutely. Yeah, considering that he's got the Granite Golem as well now, I think it's absolutely fine. So at this point, EHOME, even if they're not pushing high ground, they're keeping CDEC 5-man right next to this tier 3 mid tower, and EHOME have the entire map to farm. They can farm the enemy jungle, they can farm the enemy Ancients, they can farm all the lanes, their own jungles. They can even do so while pressuring the enemy base, like just send the Chen creeps to like bottom lane to push it out while maintaining map presence. So there's nothing CDC can really do to move out on the map except go for some like push out your lanes near your base and then just go for some desperation smoke. I feel like that's the only play left to them at this point. Or they're just going to wait to lose their high ground, like wait for the next Roshan. Even if they're not dying, like they're getting out farmed, like they're just getting further and further behind.
Yeah, I wonder if Q gives any thought to just buying a gem here, because they have no confidence in their side of the map at the moment at all, really. I mean, they put down a couple of sentries, but there's nothing to say that there isn't an observer ward right here on the hill, or an observer ward right over by the secret shop on the hill, and so they just can't really go out and even take the meager little bits of farm that are available to them. But I think if they buy a gem, they can potentially.
I'm wondering if that's what GoDz is going to do, though. He doesn't have the money yet. He's very close, and considering he's farming these neutrals on 700 gold, I can only that to me says he wants to buy a gem. Whereas Winter Wyvern's like, I got to save for a blink or a glimmer cape, something that's going to offer him some kind of a way to get off a big Winter's Curse. So I'd expect GoDz to pick up a gem with 900 gold, because there's nothing else he can really go to at this point that's going to make much of a difference on his hero.
Yeah, he does have a blink, which is quite nice. I feel like we haven't been necessarily talking as much about the CDEC item pickups, but they've put something together despite not having won really a single fight this entire game.
Late game Invoker is scary. Like, that's the thing. If you win one fight, suddenly Invoker picks up another item, like picks up an Octarine core. He's got 4k gold now. Might just get BKB, we'll see. He's got 4k gold here. I think Octarine is typically what we'll see after the Axe, but he gets that. He gets like level 19, level 20. His spells get a little bit stronger, and suddenly this Invoker can take control of this game. So definitely something to be wary of. There we go. Garda has picked up a gem now. Scouts out a ward here with the sigil. And it looks like Forge Spirits, well, they wanted to take it out with the Forge Spirits, but Garda got pushed back.
Can't quite afford to stay in range. Okay, so what do we got? We got the Doom still farming. He is going for a Lotus Orb at the moment, which is definitely very solid here. They can just, I mean, they can just throw everything on the Weaver and he can just chip high ground. Right? There's, I don't know what they can do to him.
I guess OD could be Shivers, but I almost feel like the Hex is a little bit preferred with the Blink Dagger. You just get that Blink Hex initiation. You can catch out someone like a Gyrocop to prevent the BKB.
Yeah, even if you blink hex the Invoker and you just kill him, in a couple of hits, there's
absolutely
very little that he can do.
So Eagle Song for Lanham, he's going to transition into a Butterfly. I feel like for EHOME, it's less about they're waiting for any certain item, it's more that they know they're just getting further ahead. So they're playing this in a very low-risk fashion. It's like, well, if CDC have literally been 5-man camping inside their own base, hiding, and EHOME are just showing respect towards their high ground defense. It's there's no like, oh, this item they're going to get, and then suddenly they're ready to push. Maybe Aegis is the one thing that you could say fits that category, but more than anything, it's just EHOME. No, what's there? Yeah, look at the gold graph. What was once like it was like a 12k gold lead when they had the last Aegis. Now it's like 15k in another 5 minutes. It's going to be 20k.
Slam. Can they kill him, Lasso?
No, they're not even close. With the BKB coming out, Lana managed to time-lapse back. Old 11 doesn't have any targets next to him in the Winter's Curse. Weaver, meanwhile, going to finish off Yao. They thought they had an initiation there. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be. And that was like the play from CDC. I mean, again, as we're talking about like CDC, like EHOME just getting further and further ahead and not having to do anything, CDC do have to make the play. Otherwise, they're just going to lose the game because they get too far behind. They went for it, didn't work. They GG out.
That's especially one situation where you're so sad about having the new Winter's Curse. Like, oh, we found him. Oh wait, I can't Winter's Curse him.
Yeah.
Because it'll just make him invulnerable, and then his whole team's gonna turn up, and we're all gonna die. So, that was the sad way to go out for CDEC, but I think they had a pretty good handle on what was going on.
Yeah, it was very much like okay, I think for the last 5 to 10 minutes, they were just hoping EHOME would go for a high ground push and put CDC in a position where it's like, okay, we can make a big team fight happen. But once it's not happening for 5-10 minutes, and you're like, what have we done for 10 minutes except sit in our base while they farm? You're like, shit, we're going to lose. At that point, you're thinking, they're not going to make a mistake. We are actually going to lose just based on playing passively. Let's go out with a bang.
I think they forced it at a pretty smart time as well, because I think we were around the region where Roshan could have potentially been up if it was a really early spawn. So there is a slim chance that they run out, they go and find the OD or the Weaver, they kill them, they manage to run over to Roshan. Probably don't force the Roshan necessarily, but maybe they force it a buyback, and then they can go back and kind of recompose themselves and rinse, repeat. But yeah, it didn't work out. Now they're just going to have to head into game 2.
Yeah. And I believe it was the Weaver actually got the BKB off before the Lasso, because if he doesn't get that off, I think they actually kill him there, because like the Invoker and the Gyrocopter damage is not that, like the physical damage isn't that impressive. It's all about the spell damage. So game 2, like you say, CDC just going to have to look to bounce back. They've had some good results they can fall back on. Definitely, I think it's one of those things where this game had just been kind of over for a little while unless EHOME made a big mistake, so they just need to move on from here. We're going to take a break, guys. We'll come back. EHOME versus CDC, game number 2, coming up after a quick break.